Right? Holy shit. I couldn't believe it. Nice. Nice. All the way. Take your time. Take your time.
Easy, easy, easy. Take your time, Scott.
Hurry up. Yes, all right, let's go, guys. I didn't make that noise for nothing. Yeah.
Switch your game. Nice.
Hey, Hodge, make it good. You're on TV now.
There you go. Right, right. Take my hand, Mark. Don't free ride. Kick the man. There's the shot. Right, there's the shot. Go, rally fingers.
Bring it back.
Go, Vinny.
Yeah, you better with that.
What, been doing your laundry, Kelly?
Bring it back here.
Race.
Hey, Kyle.
All right.
Back to me now. Back to me. Come on now. Give me on second.
Good shot, good shot. Hold up there, Tony. Hold up now. Right. Okay, one out, Tony.
Ducks on a pond.
Well done.
Get it up there. Get it up there. Get it up there. Good eye. Good eye. Good eye. River eye. Right here. Right here.
All right, Wilson goes to hit, man. He'll bring him to third here. Gotta come to you here. Run on anything, you guys.
Bring it back here, man. Bring it back.
Run! Run!
Take that picture! Take that picture!
The third batter hit in the woods. We never got it back. And then we got all the balls back. Yeah. Then you found the
Hello, beanbag.
Hello, I'm Adrienne Eisner. Welcome to Consumer Aware. Looking for a way to get in shape? You might be considering joining a health spa, a place where members work to improve their physical condition through exercise, weight control, and other treatments. You will get enjoyment and minimize the possibility of disappointment if you find out about the spa's fees, contractual requirements, and facilities before you join. Here are some suggestions for comparison shopping for a health spa. Inspect the spa. Visit during the hours you would normally use the spa. See if it is overcrowded. Notice whether the facilities are well maintained. Inspect for cleanliness and note the condition of the equipment. Here are some questions you should ask. Is there a trial period during which I can sample services but not be obligated to join? What hours will I be able to utilize the spa? What qualifications or special training do your instructors have? Consider the contract carefully. Some spas ask you to join right away. You might be offered special time-limited rates as an incentive. But if you wait a few days, you may make a better decision. So take the contract home and read it carefully. Before you sign, see if you can answer these questions. Is everything the salesperson promised written into the contract? Is there a cooling off period? Some spas give you a number of days to reconsider your decision to join after you have signed the contract. Can you get a refund should you have the need to cancel if you move, become disabled, or just want to stop using the spa? Can you afford the payments? If you have any questions about joining a health spa, please call us before you sign the contract. You can reach us at the Municipal Building, 254-4600, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Thank you for joining me on Consumer Aware. Hope you will join me again.
At this week's council meeting, Mayor William Fox presented a report on the shooting of East Brunswick resident Arthur Gatarz on June 20th. The mayor, reading from a prepared statement, said he would attempt to report the facts based on the Middlesex County Prosecutor's report and investigation without judgment as to the rightness or wrongness of what took place. Using various visual aids, the mayor described the chase and shooting as well as the type of gun and bullet used by Officer Bennett. Later, he was questioned by the council and members of the public.
You described the circumstances under which the trigger was pulled. Would you go over that again? What position was it in the? Was the trigger back, or was the fire pin, or the hammer rather? Was that back?
Well, it was in the double action mode.
So you have to pull the trigger with the hammer to go back.
The trigger would have to move the entire travel distance with weapon to fire.
So it's not cocked.
No, it was not cocked. Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
What is going to be the disposition after the in-study house? Is it going to go to the state prosecutor, or is it going to be just resolved?
I mean, as far as any disciplinary action is concerned, anything that comes from the review of the prosecutor's investigation, any independent investigations we do, would first result in the way it works in the police department would be charges against an officer, and then a hearing before the director and disposition made at that time. There is no prosecutor, the county prosecutor has determined that there is no criminal culpability on the part of Officer Bennett, so that any thing that would be done locally would be in response to a finding or a belief on the part of a superior officer that there was a violation of our rules or procedures.
Mr. Hartman.
Mayor, what's the, if you know, what's the pounds of pressure on the trigger?
We were attempting to find that out, but we don't know. It's in the neighborhood of 5 pounds plus or minus.
At what point in the transcript does it show that Officer Conway became involved? I know that it's at the intersection of Bruce and
18.
I guess I'm having a hard time understanding why Officer Bennett was never aware of Conway's presence, because it certainly seems that he must have heard the transmission on the radio, which is one of the reasons I'm interested in reading that. Certainly Officer Conway was dispatched by headquarters, and presumably Officer Bennett must have heard that order.
I'm not going to speculate. I think that's getting into the area of judgment.
The police department in East Brunswick does not have clubs.
They have nightsticks.
Do they have training?
Yes.
Can I ask, is it feasible for a policeman to subdue someone with a stick rather than a gun?
Yes, of course it is.
All right, now, can I ask another question? I have 4 children. I'm a concerned father. One of my boys is getting his driver's license soon. I've taught my children to obey the law, not to be afraid of policemen. I've never made them out to be boogeymen and telling my children, if you don't behave, the cops are going to get you. I've taught my children if they're in trouble to go to a policeman. I'm an electrician, and I am trained in my job not to get nervous when I'm working on high voltage, not to lose my cool. I lose my cool and temper many other times, but not working at the job I'm trained at. Now, if this officer is trained, he should have not lost his cool and not seen the other policemen. He should not have known in the back of his mind this police policy for backup to come. He should have recognized that this young man was bumped by the other police car, was coming towards him, but if they're not trained in any other way to subdue someone that's empty-handed, it's time they're trained. I would hate to think that my children would go out and make a mistake because they very well can. Everybody's human. And there's times I make mistakes, and I would hate to think that I might be chased by a policeman sometime and walk towards an answered question, and he panics. Because this is what it sounds like to me. If he couldn't see the other police car, which from what the diagram shows me was behind Mr. Gatarz, from where the policeman was that shot him, then his vision is very badly impaired. And there should be some sort of training somewhere.
The question involves around training.
As far as training is concerned, as I previously said, each of the officers goes through the State Police Academy in Seagirt. They receive extensive training in use of firearms and when not to use them. It is a very professional force, which is the reason we send the people there. So they receive the training there, and they receive a variety of refresher training during the year, or as the years go by. And there's firearms qualification every year.
That doesn't explain why you would have to pull a revolver on somebody that has nothing in their hand if you have a nightstick, which is quite deadly. It's used properly. And you can defend yourself quite well with it. And I'd rather have one of my children with a busted head than dead.
The newspapers have been printing stories every day from the beginning, and they've always been changing them. Why doesn't the township put out a statement stating what the facts are so that all these different stories can be put in their proper perspective? Misinformation weeded out, and the truth printed. And another thing, who's looking over the police shoulders as they transcribe the tapes? We're all familiar with the tapes and the 18.5-minute gap. Can we rely on the police to investigate themselves without being biased? It's not human nature. Well, how about all these different stories? Are we going to get one story straight?
Well, I think what I attempted to do tonight is to provide you with the condensation of facts as best I could from the prosecutor's report.
Well, that
I believe that what I reported tonight is what actually happened.
Well, you should have that report posted somewhere where everybody can read it.
I'll be glad to.
The thing about the transcript
post
is,
what I have said.
the way you read the transcript, it sounded like an ordinary conversation. How do you know how excited the police were? Did you hear the transcript when the
I have not.
man was shot? Did the officer say, "Oh, send the SWAT car here, man's been shot"? Or did she scream? Or did she show great emotion? Did the cop who did the shooting show great emotion when he was involved in this? These things color the picture. They're not as just plain black and white on emotion.
The two officers want to be given the light detector test. What you say? Two officers want to be given the light detector test. Why not? No justification. All right, I think there is.
Well, I would simply point out to you that there are 3 civilian witnesses here and here who corroborate the reports of the officers
I
about what
can't
happened.
see why an unarmed man would jump an armed man.
Well, I think there's some,
And I can't see why an officer would draw his gun on an unarmed person.
there are some questions about this, I suspect that we would never know the answers to.
They wondered why the weapon went off so easy. Is there any other verification other than the officers that he was in a defensive stance, that he did not have that weapon cocked?
No, there's not.
It's his word.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Greg Gatarz, and I live at 311 Milltown Road. And last Friday, I had the opportunity to meet with the assistant prosecutor, Lawrence West, and he allowed me to see a copy of the report with the names of the witnesses and addresses crossed off so that the family could get some indication of what led to the death of my brother, which I'll call from now on the motorcyclist. And I think that in reading that report, what I got out of it was considerably different from Mayor Fox, and I don't wish to attack him. I think that he has done us a great deal of justice in bringing it to the public. But by omission and also, I think, addition, certain things have been pointed, and I think that this is perhaps a little bit biased. I think that, to start with, the prosecutor's report did not really say that the witnesses all concurred exactly. From the report that I read, to the best of my memory, the account of the scuffle was much briefer than the account given by the mayor, and that there is a reasonable effort to determine whether the officer purposely fired the weapon or it accidentally went off. And that was the purpose of the prosecutor's report, to determine whether the gun went off accidentally or on purpose, and not to determine whether the officer acted properly or improperly in the way he handled the situation. And I think that there's a few things that would give the people here in this room a little insight into the actions of the motorcyclist that by omission they would not have. I think that one very important point is that there was a purposeful effort on the part of Officer Bennett to force him to pull over, which may or may not have led to the spill that he took, and could easily be considered an attempt on his life. When questioning the assistant prosecutor, I questioned him as to the speed that he felt the motorcycle was traveling at the time that the officer was alongside of him and tried to force him to stop. He estimated 70 miles an hour. At that speed, telephone poles and signposts are a picket fence, and had he gone down at that speed, he would have been killed, in my estimation, and I don't know what the public's view of that is. And I think that if I were in that situation, that after going down and then having a second patrol car come in what I consider to be, what I know, a reckless manner, coming very close to me, that perhaps my state of mind wouldn't be that good that I would recognize the threat of a revolver. I think that there's human emotions involved, and that if an officer can't see the broad side of a police car, can't see the siren, can't hear the sirens, and can't see the lights flashing, it's easy for an individual to overlook or not see the revolver. And I think that all through not hearing the command, you have a motorcycle coming on, there's at least an indication that the motorcycle engine was revving from the spill, the engine was running, sirens going. Another fact is that he had a full face shield on, that in times of physical exertion, it tends to condense a film on the inside of the face shield, limiting your visibility. And there is a great deal of uncertainty. And my real question is why the officer, not knowing what he was dealing with, came away from the security of his police car and attempted to bring the person down.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right. Yes, sir. This will be.
Richard Walton. I do have some questions germane to the investigation. To begin with, I'd just like to comment on some of the so-called factual evidence that Mayor Fox presented regarding the ammunition. Although it's true hollow point bullets do not explode, they do flatten out, and that creates the same effect as an explosion. It rips through the body. It's the same effect. And the questions I have for the investigation and the resulting misinformation in the newspapers include, why did police spokesman lie to the news media regarding Art's driving record by describing it as very bad and on the brink of losing it? Why didn't the police or county prosecutor admit to the press that Bennett tried to run Artie off the road with his car, and it was Bennett's driving that forced Art to fall with his bike? Such driving against a motorcycle is enough to kill someone, as Greg pointed out. If that is standard operating procedure, it is an obscene method of apprehension. Does the end justify the means? I've been around weapons most of my life. The first rule taught to anyone handling a firearm is you don't aim a weapon unless you mean to kill someone. This raises a whole series of points. Why did Bennett draw a weapon on an obviously unarmed man? He admitted that the cyclist posed no bodily threat. Why did Bennett have his finger on the trigger upon drawing his revolver and keep it on the trigger as he approached Artie, particularly when the weapon lacked a safety latch? If Bennett had tripped on a rock and fired, Artie may have been killed by such an action. Such an accident occurred at Douglas campus just a few years ago when a campus officer killed himself with his own weapon while on patrol. Bennett was described as having tunnel vision, and that is the excuse given for not seeing a second police car 120 feet away or less. Police are supposed to have keen powers of observation and react to situations accordingly. Tunnel vision is a description of hot emotions and irrational senses. Why didn't Bennett, upon seeing an unarmed man approach him, holster his revolver and use a reasonable method of apprehension? Bennett knew what his actions could result in. A man was wrongfully killed, and an officer's reckless actions and reactions caused that killing. It is time we stop masking the facts by half-truths and omission of facts. I sincerely hope that the investigation affixes responsibility for the unprofessional manner of this officer, and that appropriate steps are taken to prevent such irresponsible use of deadly weapons in the